What's up with the YouTube? I realized, and it took me a long time to understand, that a man's cheat code is controlling his emotions. It's a game changer. It's a game changer. A man that controls how he feels controls his destiny. Because when a man does that, a man understands everything isn't meant to be taken personal. It is what it is. You can think clear when you control how you feel. You can evaluate situations when you can control how you feel and how you think. A man that has full control over his emotions beats the game. You beat the game. Because that's one of the hardest things to do as a human being. And when you understand that as a man, it becomes a game changer because it brings clarity. It brings logic. When you understand this, everything isn't meant to be taken personal. And some things, it just says what it is. And another thing is, when a man holds himself accountable for everything that happened in his life, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. It ain't no pointing fingers or blaming nobody for your current position. You blame yourself and then you evaluate the situation and then you navigate yourself out of that position. A man that controls his emotions beats the game. He beats the game. A lot of men dead because they couldn't control how they feel. A lot of men in prison because they couldn't control how they feel. A lot of men catching domestic violences because they can't control how they feel instead of using their logic that God blessed them with to navigate the situation. It's a game changer. It's a game changer. Using your brain and not your hands. Using your brain and not your mouth. It's powerful, bro. Because it's a time and a place for everything. It's a time to show your ass, and it's a time to not say nothing at all. And once you get full control over how you feel, you maneuver through all the bullshit, through all the clutter, through all the negative energy. Because you understand what's going on. You analyze the situation. You pay attention to it. And then you navigate your way out of it. That's all it's about, bro. It's controlling how you feel, controlling how you think, controlling what you allow people to say to you that makes you feel a certain way, controlling how you react to people's words, basically. When a man understands that, the man beats the game, bro. Because he doesn't move off of his emotions. He moves off of his logic. And then he realized everything isn't so personal. A lot of y'all starting things and shit not going y'all way, but you got to understand, everything isn't personal. Just keep working. If you don't get the results that you want, use your logic. Navigate, make it better, keep working. Your past relationships, the jobs that you chose, it was all your decisions. It was all what you accepted. It was all what you allowed as a man. I'm telling you, I'm not perfect. I got feelings just like everybody else do. I feel emotions just like everybody else do. But I know how to vet them. I know how to manage it. It's a time and a place for everything. It's a time and a place for a lot of shit out here, bro. And a lot of things that's going on in your life, you giving it the wrong energy because you're not using your brain. You letting the emotions lead you when you can't do that. Because a man is at his best when he can think clear. You can't think clear worried about what happened yesterday. You can't think clear snapping every time somebody say something you don't like. You can't think clear. You can't move clear like that. A man's cheat code is controlling how he feels. And when a man controls how he feels, he controls his destiny. He controls his outlook. He controls his output. Because he understands it's a time and a place and everything isn't personal. Some shit just is what it is. When a man controls his feelings, his relationships become better. It become clearer. His lifestyle changes. He doesn't have a victim mentality. He's not blaming nobody for his current situation. He understands why he's in the position that he is. Because he has full control over the way he thinks. Controlling your emotions as a man is a cheat code, bro. I don't think y'all understand me. You beat the game. You know, when I was young, coming up in the streets and whatever, and young street dudes, we want to show our aggression and show how tough we is and whatever. And show how strong we is as a man or whatever. We want to be feared. But as you get older, you realize that was weakness. That was an emotion. That was acting out. That was somebody who can be easily pushed. Somebody can push you wherever they want to just by saying a certain word or doing a certain thing. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of men that don't know how to control the way they think. When you control the way you think, you control your destiny. When you control the way you think, you control your outcome. When you control the way you think, you control your life. But when you allow somebody else to control the way you think, you give them the power over your mind. Take control over your mind. And when a man controls his emotion, he don't have nobody to blame. He forgives those who did him dirty. You forgive people who did the most egregious shit to you in your life. You don't forgive them for you. You don't forgive them for them. You forgive them for you. That's what forgiveness is. It's for you. And then you just cut their ass off. You ain't got to associate with them no more. But you break the mental chains that they had on you your entire life. Because the power is in here. You can't relinquish the power to somebody who did something to you 5 years ago. You can't relinquish the power to your baby mama who said this and that and threw dirt on your name. You can't relinquish the power to your job that's not giving you a raise. You have to take full responsibility. Hold yourself accountable. Blame yourself for making terrible decisions. Blame yourself for getting out of shape. Blame yourself for eating trash food. Blame yourself for not being the good spouse. Blame yourself for not being the good man. And then you can control and evaluate your situation. It's a game changer. It's a game changer. It's a time where you need to show your ass. Pause. It's a time where you have to show your aggression. But every situation ain't built for that. Some things is better off not even interacting with or even feeding it energy. Because it's a waste of time. And when you use your logic, you can see where that situation is going to lead you if you respond. Some shit is just better off not saying at all or even responding. Because you understand how the game works. Get full control over your mental. And then you beat the game. Everything isn't meant to be taken personal, bro. It just is what it is. And most of the shit that went wrong in your life was based off a decision you made. Not your baby mama, not your job, not your mom, not your pops, not your friends, not your uncles, nobody. It was based off a decision you made. And when you accept that to be true, you start to control the way you look at your environment.